Morning. Oh, it's good afternoon. Sorry. So busy with work today. Just now getting around to being able to get on. Okay. Testing, testing. Microphone looks like it's working. All right. So, yesterday when we finished up, we were just getting started with figuring out how to equip heroes with the items that we generated. And as I was going through that process in the evening, I realized I wanted to try to use something slightly cleaner to pull back the data for these lists. So originally, we have this set up in 4 tables. Let's jump over to the database here. So we have the base item table and the base item modifier, and those are like the catalog of items and modifiers available. And then we create a generated item and a generated item modifiers tied to that generated item. So these are the two that get created from the game, and then they'll get dropped into these database tables. But to pull all the data back that we need to access all 4 of these tables. So it was kind of messy. I was going to have to either do some funky loops or a whole lot of additional queries to the database through loops, which wouldn't have been very performant at all. So what I ended up doing was creating 2 views. I created one tied to the equipment level. So that means for each piece of equipment, there's 1 row in this table. And since I only have 1 hero right now with equipment in that equip table, this kind of works out good. I don't even have to have a where statement on the hero ID. But normally that's how it'll be set up. It'll say select everything from this table where hero ID equals whatever their ID is, and that will pull back the list of equipment they have. And I have this built out in a way where it's pulling in all of the base item details as well as the generated item details. So this saves us a couple extra queries here. And then this one down here is the same thing, but it's for all the mods on those items. So this pulls back all the modifiers tied to those 2 items you just saw. So you can see here the generated item ID is 2 and 4. And if we look at this other table, you can see that those are the 2 items that are on that equipped object or equipped person. And the same thing here, normally we're going to say where hero ID equals whatever it is. And hero ID is tied to this table. And that will pull back the full list of mods that we will then assign to our equip object in the server. So this allows us to do all of the data pulls in these 2 pulls. So this is like the modifier level, 1 line per mod. And then the other table is 1 line per item. So in the server, what we need to do now is we just need to take this list of mods and make sure they get assigned to the appropriate item lists. And then assign all of this data back to our equipped game object. So that's what we're going to start off working on today. I do have a little bit built out here, but not much yet. So we have this method. It's called get equipped items. We're going to pass back the equipped data object, and that's stored within the within a hero object within that unit. So we can look at that real quick. So within a hero unit, we have the equipped data object that we're populating right now. So it's been null up until this point. So our goal today is to get this populated and also affect combat, meaning if we equip a stronger armor or a stronger weapon, it should also affect the damage and defense and stuff of the hero as it's supposed to. So we have all the data at this point. This is the two polls I just mentioned, and I created two different methods for each repository. So this is the first view with the equip detail. That's one line item per item in the game. And then the equipped mod, which gives you one line item per mod. So we have all of that stored in these two lists. And we just need to figure out how to build these into our equipped object. So let's just start building out the builders and just kind of think through what we're going to have to do here. So we have a builder for equipped builder. This is like the high level builder that we need. That's not right. I don't know why it did it that way. Oh, I need to not put the new statement in there. That's why. Okay, so there's that high level one. And let's see, it does want us to loop through the items, which I think is the right start. So we're going to start with this equipped detail DB in the equipped item list. So within every item, we need to create, let's see, we're just going to look at what we can set here. So we need to set the armor and the weapon. Those are the two fields currently in equipped, and we can check that out in here. So we have an armor item and we have a weapon item that need to get set in the equipped object. So as we loop through, we'll have to do maybe a switch statement, and we'll be looking at get equipped slot case item slot case dot weapon import that. I don't know if that matches up. Let's see. An enum switch case label must be the unqualified name of an enumeration constant. So this is pulling back a string, and this is pulling back an enumeration constant. So if it's pulling back a string, for now we'll just put in the strings, but eventually I'm going to clean this up and figure out how to do it with the enums correctly. We also have a case for armor, and then we'll just use the default case in case something's not defined. All right, and of course, we need to break out of each one of these cases as you go through. So at this point, we know what type, which equipment type we have here. So now we need to build the generated item object. So we need generated item dot builder. Okay. This is we should definitely be putting this in a separate function. I'm gonna make sure I don't already have something here. The reason I guess I know I don't have something because we're gonna be passing in this new element we created called equip detail. So let's make a function called let's call it, it's going to return a generated item, and we'll call it convert equipped detail to generated item. And we need to pass in this equip detail db. Okay. And let's rename this to equip detail db just to make sure it's exact. Okay, so up here, we'll get rid of this builder. And instead, we're going to do this let's see. Equipped builder dot set weapon convert equip detail to generated item, and we're just going to pass that in. And I guess we're also going to have to pass in the mods here because they actually get assigned at the item level, the generated item level. So let's do that as well. We're going to pass our list of equipped mod, or what the heck did I call it? Equipped mod db. And it'll just be called the equipped mods. All right, so now we have that list also, and we need to pass it up here. So we have the main one and equip mod list. Okay. And this will be the same down here. That way we can reuse this code, and eventually we'll have more than 2 item slots. So this should read set armor. Okay. All right, so down here we're going to create our builder. And we're also going to need our, what the heck is it called? Generated item modifier. There's the 2 builders we should need. And then we just need to assign all of the values. So I guess first of all, we should loop through the equip mods list. And say if equipped mod db.get generated item ID, that's probably the right one to go for here, equals there we go. So if it equals the item we just passed in, we need to add these to that builder. And actually we need to recreate this for each mod. So this needs to go into this loop. We need a new one every time in the loop, and then we need to attach those objects. So we're going to do, we just need to run through and set all of these values, and we can double check this. We're going to need the base item modifier as well, aren't we? I think we're going to need that builder as well. Base item modifier builder. There's a lot going on here, so let me try to I want to kind of look at how these items are set up to make sure I'm not missing anything. So the item modifier, the generated item modifier is what we're actually passing back into the generated item. It does have a reference to the base item modifier, and then these 4 other fields. So the base item modifier needs to be created, and it has reference to all of these fields, although I don't know if all of these need to come over into our game object. The description we use, but I don't know if we use any of these other objects. We'll need the modifier ID to link it up to this one. But the low value, high value, the attribute, and the level aren't necessarily needed. The attribute is passed into generated. I think I thought through this when I was creating the view, and I don't know that I included anything we didn't need, so we're going to just have to look at what I included here. So I don't have like the high and the low value because we've already generated the value. So let's see. Let's do this. Let's take this base item mod builder and just start setting from top to bottom here. So we need to set the base item modifier ID. And that will be in the equipped mod db.get base modifier ID. And then the next one up there is base item modifier description. Mod db dot get item modifier description. And then the low and high value we don't have. We can set the attribute. I don't think we need it here because we also have it in the generated, but and then we don't have level either. Let me double check, but I don't think we have level. We do have level. I lied. Okay, so let's add that base item mod builder. Set level. Equip mod db.get level. Okay. So there's our base item. Now we're going to start working on our generated item mod builder. So we need to set generated item modifier ID. Okay. And then the next one is generated item ID. And what was it? Generated item ID. Okay. And then the next one is the base item modifier. So that's what we just created. So set base item modifier. And then item modifier value. And then generated item modifier attribute. Where's it at? Set generated. There it is. Didn't see it for some reason. Okay. So now we have this guy. And I guess up here, we're going to have to keep a list of these objects. So outside of the loop, we'll create that, and it'll be a generated item modifier. Okay. And then in here, we should be able to add that. All right. So that'll build and save that one. We saved the base item into that one. All right. So by the time we're through this for loop, we should have all of the item modifiers in that list. So now we can generate this final piece, which is the high level, the generated item itself. And we're just going to pass these items in. So generated item builder dot set. Let's see, generated item. There it is. So just three things we have to set here. So we need to set the generated item ID. We need to set the base item. Oh, we haven't defined the base item yet though. But we did define the modifier, so let's put that in here. Set all modifiers. Generated item builder. What is going on? Why isn't that working? Oh, add all modifiers. My bad. Okay. But above this, we need to do the base item stuff here. So the base item. We already have the builder, or we don't? I don't think we made a builder for this yet. We made it for the base item modifier, but not the... So there's our builder for that one. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go through all the item stuff. And we're actually going to need to do this based on what slot. Okay, so the first one is base item builder dot set base item ID. Okay, and then the name. There's the name. Value. Level. Item type and rarity before we do the separations here. So let's get all of the ones that are on both item types. Item type. Rarity. Get rarity. Set rarity, not get rarity. All right. So we have all of the top level. Now we just need to do another switch statement just like we did up here. Can even copy this. Rid of these lines. And here, clean up all these copy and paste issues there. All right, so this should go. I need a weapon stats builder. All right. And then for the armor, it will be armor stats. All right. And then here, we're just going to assign these few values. So for this one, we have damage, high and low damage, and damage type, and attack speed. So damage type. Okay. Set damage type, get damage type. Set damage type is a value. Okay. That's that one enum we have set up. Set low damage. Set high damage. And set attack speed. All right. So that builds all the weapon stat objects out. Then we just need to assign that to the base item builder dot set weapon. All right. That's good. Now we just got to do the same thing with armor. There should only be 3 in the armor. Set defense. Set resist. Oh my goodness, type. And block. And then assign that back to the base item builder. All right, so the base item at this point has all the data. So down here we can do the same thing. set the base item and base item builder dot build. All right, so we have all of the, yeah, that's it. We should be able to, at this point, return, once I figure out how to type, return our item and build it. Lots of little steps there, but that finished out the item and returned it back up here. And then it sets it right here. Looping through the equipment. And then we should just be able to do the same thing here. We should be able to say return equipped builder dot build. All right, so now we have a function to get the equipped object. And what we want to do here is where we're returning the hero in the so let's close that. Let's close everything except for this one. And I think in the hero service is where I need to go, because the hero, we can open the hero proto real quick too. It's in the unit proto file. So in here, when we create this hero unit return object, we need to set what we just, that service we just created, we need to set it that way. So let's find that in the hero service, and it looks like it might have even broke. Something broke. Convert hero DB to hero unit. Expecting to. Oh, that's because I was trying to figure out how to do this with the I was trying to figure out how to do the updates to the equipped, wasn't I? And I put it up here, but I don't want it in the hero because it's tied to items. So we're going to move it out of here. And I moved it to the item service. That's what we were just working on. So I'll make a reference instead to the item service in here. That way it can manage any of the item methods. So we're going to call this item service. And we do need to bring that in through our auto wiring. Okay. All right, so we have our item service available now. Now let's check this method call, which is down here. So I passed in convert hero DB to hero unit. All right, so we're going to take this back out. All right. And down here where we're setting these different hero things, we need to define the call to create that item, that equipped item list. So what can we do here? We can do it, we can probably just do it in one line. So we'll say hero builder dot set equipped. And then in here, we're going to do item service dot get equipped items. And we're just going to pass in the hero ID. All right, that is much cleaner. And now we're passing the equipped items with all of their details into this hero builder. And then the other direction, what do we need to do for the other direction? So we have this convert from the DB to the unit. What if we have to go the other way? What are we going to have to do here? I think here we're going to have to do another call in the item service. Yeah, so if I go to the item service, we can create a call that says public. I don't think it even needs to return anything, right? What does the hero service do? I'm just going to do a void and call it update equipped items in DB. Okay. And this will pass in the equipped object. All right. So in this, I think we already have a conversion. We don't really have this set up though. Convert generated item DB to generated item. But I don't have a conversion going the other way. So we do need to create that as well. I guess let me think. Are we going to have a situation where an item can be updated once it's generated? And if so, what could be updated? So I think I might create a way to like re-roll or upgrade the stats. But other than that, you'd have to generate a new item if it's a different base item. So the base item stuff should never be able to change. So for example, we don't need to do any updates here. This will stay the same no matter what. Generated item will never change. Now we might have like a cleanup thing to delete stuff out of here, but we're not going to update this. This will never change. But the modifiers, I think those could change. So really what I need to do here is loop through the generated item modifier table and it might be cleaner just to delete all the entries in here for an item. So if we have an item coming in, it's item ID 2. We'll delete all the entries for 2 and then we'll add them back. But I don't want this to be called unless it needs to be. I don't think, now that I'm looking at this, I don't think this should be tied to the hero update in the hero service. This should be its own separate things, because items themselves are not going to change. They're not going to change the same time that heroes change. Those are completely different entities and pieces of the game. So first of all, let's make sure we're not doing anything in the hero service on the I don't think we are. Hero unit to hero DB. I mean, we're just setting the hero things here and not messing with the items, and I want that to stay that way. And for the item service, or for the when we are wanting to update an item, it'll be one item at a time. It will not be, well, we do want to update, so this will change. The equipped items will change. But this is just the equipped table. So this should read update equipped items. Let's say update equipped. Oh. Let's just call it update equipped DB so that we know we're only updating that table with this call. We're not actually changing an item here. That's going to have to be its own separate call, and I'm not going to define that right now. But when we decide to make the ability to change an item, like I said, it's just going to be, I mean, we can even make a placeholder. So it will be update generated item mods, because we're not ever going to change the generated item itself. We can only update the item mods. And then we're going to pass in a list of is that what it'll be here, or will this be the item itself? This might be the item itself being passed in. Okay, we'll pass in the generated item, but then we'll loop through mods, create entity objects, and save to database. And I'm going to change this and say delete old mods and create new mods to save to the database. All right, so that's what that one will do when we get to that point. Loop through mods. Actually, I'm going to say delete old mods. I'm going to put that at the beginning. And then loop through mods and create new mods. And loop through new mods to save to database. All right, that's good enough. I think I'll understand what that means when I get to that point. So up here, we just need to mess with the equipped DB. So this is going to be a lot easier than this won't be complicated. We're just updating these 4 fields here for this call. So mainly this allows us to take an item that's in the generated item table and place it into a hero's equipped item list. So we just need to, let's see, we're going to loop through the items that are getting passed in. It'll be a generated item. Can I loop through since this isn't a list? No, I'm not going to be able to loop through this. I need some kind of function or ability here to parse all of the equipped items in this list. Right now there's only 2, so yeah, I can easily do 1 and then 2 in here. But that's gonna be messy, I think, if we have like 15 different equip slots. I don't know if we'll have that many. I'm just saying if we did. Do we really want 15 different sections? Let's write it out for now, but let's put a to-do in here to look into making this a loop somehow to go through all item slots. This is going to get messy, so I'm going to, because this part here too, see how we're doing a case statement, and we also had to do it in that other section. If we have 15 different item slots, this is going to get messy. So that's what this to-do is about. I want to figure out a better way to manage that idea of different item slots. Okay. So I guess, like I said, for now we will go ahead and loop through each one. Actually, it's not a switch. We need to go through each one. So we need to say if equipped dot has weapon, we need to do something. And if equipped dot has armor, we need to do a very similar something. So we need to convert. We need a we need to create the equipped DB object and then set let me think about this. We need to see if there's already something there. So we need to do this a different way. Let's do right here we're going to do equipped repository dot find by find by ID, not ID though. Find by hero ID and equipped slot. Okay. We need to pass in equipped dot get weapon dot get ID. We need hero ID. The hero ID is not going to be on that, is it? Do we need to pass the hero ID separately? I think we might have to. Because the equipped object only has references to the generated items. Generated items don't reference, they're not tied to a person. So we're gonna have to pass in hero ID. And that. So this first part will be hero ID. And the second part is the equipped slot. So we're going to say dot get equipped slot. That's not going to return the right object type, is it? No. I mean, honestly, the way we have this set up right now, we already know that if it's here, it's a weapon. Let's create this method. String, let's rename this to item slot. Actually, it's equip slot. Okay. And then if we, oops. So if the equip DB I guess we just take this now and we set the new values. So if it's null, if it didn't find a match, it should be null. Let me do that. I don't know if we have to do this, but let's just do it this way. If equipped DB not equal to null, if it is null, we need to new that object, right? So equipped DB equals new equipped DB. I don't know if I have to do that, but that might be necessary to get the equipped DB dot set equipped slot, which is weapon, since we're up here. Equipped DB dot set generated item ID, And this will be equipped dot get weapon dot get generated item ID. And then we can save it. All right. And other than that, up here, the only thing that can change if it's not null, since we're already pulling an exact match for hero ID and weapon, so those two aren't changing. Now we're just setting the generated item ID, and we'll resave this. So we're being very specific, showing that we're really only updating the item that's stored in this slot. And maybe eventually, maybe we'll just create like a 0 or something, a blank entry for every hero for every slot. And then this will never happen. But I don't think that's necessary. I think it'll work this way just fine. So we just need to copy what we did up here. Let's look at this real quick, because I bet we can create a small method to contain all of this. So we're creating a new object. We're passing in this. So this will have to change in each one. So I'm going to have to pass in the slot. That's the only difference that we're going to have between these two codes, right? If I do private update equipped db item by slot, maybe what I should say. So here we're going to pass those same objects back down through here, because we're going to need them. This is going to return, I guess it's not going to return anything. So we should be able to take this section and put it in here. And then change this to, actually we need one more, don't we? We need the string item slot. And then right here, this will change to item slot. Item slot. Oh, this isn't going to work though. This get weapon isn't going to work. Fix my camera. Just notice I'm like halfway off the screen. That's better. Closer. Not perfect, but closer. All right. I know I'm making this more difficult than it needs to be here. There's different slots. What if instead of passing the equipped object to this call, I just pass a generated item object? I don't need the equipped. Do I? I can still make that same call, like right, where's it at? Right here. Find by hero ID and equip slot. I don't need to know what's already there for this call anyways. If there's already an item there, I'm going to have to move. That'll be another to do. We haven't got that far yet. But we need to move if an item is already in the equipped slot. Move that item to inventory. Okay. We don't want to like lose the item. If we equip a new item, the old item shouldn't be eliminated. It should just be moved. Okay, so I think that might be the better way to do this. So generated item. And this might not even come into play anymore, but we'll see. The way I'm doing this, we're passing in the item and we're telling it which item slot to put it in is technically what I'm doing here. We're saying this is the slot I want it in, this is the hero, and this is the item. We should already have done the logic before it gets this far to know if the generated item matches the slot, right? Or do we just pass... Generated item already has a slot though, doesn't it? Generated item dot get slot or get base item dot get, it's that slot thing, isn't it? Slot case. Okay, that's what it is. And I can convert that to the string value. So we don't even need, well, we do need that. The reason I want to pass this, and I think I mentioned this, oh, it's probably been yesterday at this point, but I might have multiple slots for a item type. So let's say, for example, you have, well, we might even want to allow 2 weapons, like 2 one-handed weapons. So we can't just pick weapon. I guess we could. But it wouldn't know which slot to put it in. So yeah, we still need this. Because there could be like, also for rings, let's say you have 2 ring slots. And if it has a slot type of ring, we still won't know which one to put it in. without this. So we're going to keep item slot here. Maybe we'll refactor it down the road, but I still think this will be pretty clean this way now. So now we still want to do this. We still want to find if there's already something in the database for the item slot. And really I need to put my to-do up here, because this is, if there is something up there, this is where we want to move it out. So if it's already in the equip list, move that item to inventory. That's what will happen here. And then we'll say, if it's not equal to null, all we're doing is changing. We're getting the generated item ID. So generated item dot get ID. That's it. We're just setting the new item there. Much cleaner than what I was trying to do here. There's no reason I needed to jump down into this equipped crap. And then over here we have to set all the fields since it's a new one. So here will be the same thing. Generated item dot get generated item ID. This stuff pulls in from the data we're feeding it. So now we don't need to know anything about the item slot. It doesn't matter if there's 15 of them. The way we're doing this, we're passing it in here. We don't need to loop through anything. Much cleaner. Much cleaner. I like that. All right. This one is not necessary anymore. All right. Okay, so we have a way to save the new items in here. We have a way to pull all the items that are equipped on a hero and send that back to the normal stuff in the UI. We haven't actually called this one yet, but this will have to be called by an RPC call that will update, that will add an item to the equipment. So the normal idea will be we'll click on an item in your inventory, and then there will be a new equip button that would show up if you click on it and it's equipable. And if you click that equip button, then it should know what to do here. Or maybe it would be a scenario where, I mean, I'm thinking for the, if there's 2 ring slots and you just click equipped, that might not work. You might have to do like a drag and drop scenario. Or maybe my UI just, when it's one of those slots that has multiple, it would just say equip in slot 1, equip in slot 2. That might be the easier way, rather than making it too difficult. And that way we're always passing that data in this way. And then once it creates those records in the database, then this guy up here comes into play and it's able to pull the appropriate data back. So after this runs, our normal procedure would be to rerun whatever calls this so that the data object has the newest data in it and it shows the new item in that slot. Okay. So let's look at what we've got so far in the UI. Actually, let's make sure I can get my server running and I don't have any errors. Let's do a clean install and then try to start the server before we move to the Unity side. And what did we do for service calls? I don't remember. We have a generate item call we have a get item info call. So I think we're going to have to create one more here that says, I mean, several more, but for now, based on what we just created, we're going to need a call that says equip item, and we'll pass in a request object with the data that's needed. And that should allow us to do that. So if I do RPC equip item request returns the equipped object, or what do I want to return here? The equipped object's actually in the hero right now, which is fine because that's kind of what it's based on, is heroes. So to use that, I need to say import unit, and then the equip item request we haven't created yet. Equipped request, and for this we need to pass in, let's see, we're going to pass the generated item ID we need to pass the hero ID, and we need to pass the slot. Right? I think they're in the wrong order. I think this one's first, at least in my method. So let's match that just to be consistent. We'll change these numberings. All right. Those are the three parameters we have to pass for this to work. Okay. I gotta rebuild this since I just did that change. And then we'll create, oh, what is it mad about? File recursively imports itself. What? Is it because I'm importing item on one and unit on the other? Probably. All right, I'm importing item here. For what? Oh, for generated item in the equipped object. All right, well, let's go back. Let's do it this way then. Well, let's move this equipped object type, since it has items embedded in it. It probably should be over here in the item proto file, and then that should have fixed that. Yeah, it's already fine, isn't it? That's all I needed to do, is just move it over there. And now this one doesn't need the reference to unit anymore because I moved the equipped over here. All right, let's try that again. Hmm. All right, that worked. Now we have to make this RPC call that we just made. So we want to make a call called equip item. And so I think what we'll do for our test, so we've already got the generate item that we created in the UI side. We just have a button we can click to generate an item. And I think what I'd like to do then is place a button on that generation that pulls that generated item that we generated, and we'll equip it. And maybe we'll just pick any hero out of the mix for that testing. And we don't have a UI to show what's equipped yet, but this will at least be that first step to make sure that we can equip an item and get the database to update appropriately. Once we have that, we should be able to start working on the UI side of things, which is the next step in our thing here. So we're kind of on this first object still a little bit, but this very next part is a UI, so we can change it the right way in the management system. So we're almost done with this step. Then we're going to be in Unity for a while working on some UI elements to make a little inventory and equipped items and stuff like that. We want to be able to show the stats. So that's going to take a little bit of time. I do have an asset tied to that unit creation asset. What's it called? Fantasy Heroes, that one that I'm using. That does have some inventory type stuff already built in. So I'm going to see if we can't drop that into place and then make updates to it to work with our RPC system. So that's my hope, is that we can use their system and update it through our data sets. So we're going to see what we're able to do there. That'll be really nice if we can get all that working, because their system's pretty nifty and clean looking already. I don't want to recreate a wheel if I don't have to. Okay. So the generate item, the item service, not generate item, equip item. Do I have my overrides all spread out? I guess I do a little bit. So it's a public void equip item, and we're passing in a equip item request, and we're doing a stream observer returning, what are we returning? I don't remember. The equipped object. Equipped. Okay. So we're returning that full equipped object, which we'll be able to UI then parse out and display the updates. I'll be back in a couple minutes. I'm gonna go get a drink. My throat's getting a little tight. Why is it? Cannot keep myself centered on this screen either, which is not a big deal. One of these days I'm going to look and I'll actually have some chats to reply to. Not quite there yet. Maybe once the game starts getting more interactive. All right, let's see. So we're passing in the request object and equip item. So what do we do here? We need to call we can get what's already equipped, but that's not the one we're on. Really what we want to do is this one we just created. Update equip database item by slot. Because these are the three items we're just passed in. So we're going to make this call in here. All right. All right, so update equip database item by slot. And we need to pass in hero ID. And the next one is the generated item ID. Is that right? I think it is. And the last one is the item slot. It requires type generated item. So do we have... We don't need the generated item, do we? Don't we just need the ID? I don't think we need the item. I'm gonna go back up here. I think we're making that a little more complicated than it has to. And we're gonna create extra CPU cycles to do something when I don't need to. Really, all I need is the item ID to update the database. And then when I do the get equipped items call, then it will generate the items. There's no reason to do it before. So right here, we're going to pass in generated item ID. And then this is just generated item ID. There's no reason to create additional overhead. All right. That should make this down here clean up. We don't have any issues now. So that will update the database. And then we need to return the equipped item. So we need to generate that, and that's as easy as just doing this. Get equipped items. We're passing the hero ID in again. So see, all these little mini functions have cleaned up some of these like this. So this is actually an override too. This is the actual RPC call. But this RPC call is a lot cleaner now. We're not putting any of the build logic in here. We're just calling our smaller items that we created here to do the updates. And once we have this, we just need to do the response observer dot on next equipped and then on completed. Okay, that is all we have to do. I think that's all we have to do. Let me push play, make sure that this runs. And if it does, I'm going to go ahead and copy our proto changes over to Unity, because we did move that equipped object from unit to item. And I don't remember, we might have made a couple other changes too. Okay, no issues running. That's good news. This will regenerate the proto files. And then Unity is just going to update. Okay. So over here, let's look at, we have the server running already. So let's just push play and look at what we have so far, and then what we can add to test out the equip part. Remember, we just kind of threw this on this same scene. We're not really messing with the combat part right now. We're just kind of honing in on this little item card we created. So if I click generate item, it should make a call to the server and create a new item. Okay. It generates the modifiers for that item, and then these are all the base stats for the item up here. So really what I want to do is just add one more button here that says equip, and we'll just drop it on, it doesn't even matter. I'm just on one of the heroes and make sure that we see the updates. So to do that, let's see, what will we have to do? So we'll need a button. It'll say equip. We're just gonna pick a hero in the mix here that we're equipping it on for now. We're not gonna allow the player to pick, it's just gonna be static. On this test, I mean. In the real game, of course, you will be able to pick which hero is getting the equipment. And then once we can get it equipped and in their object tables, we're going to have to go back and figure out how to manage the modifiers to their stats. So, for example, of course, damage needs to update to be based on the weapon. Attack speed needs to update. And then all these other things that get added as modifiers. So like plus 10 hit points, that needs to be modified and show up in the UI. And of course in the logic as well. It needs to be properly utilized. So that'll be the next step after we get this showing up in their equip table. So let's create a button. Let's stop this from running. And let's see, let's make a, where did I put this? In the action panel for now? Yeah. So let's go in there. We're going to create another reference that this is going to utilize. This one will be a game object. We'll just call it equip button. So I only want this to show up when there's an item generated. So this should only show up after we generate an item. So we have this update item UI. And then right here, after we click generate item, there should also be something that says equip button dot set active true. And then up here in the start, we can set it to false. Okay, so that'll create a button. Now we need to create a method that it can attach to. Equip, click. Okay, and how will we get the item? I guess the item's still in here at that point. You know, normally it's not going to be, once we figure out the inventory system, this isn't how it will be. But for now, we have the item in this generated item object. So down here, this should be very easy. We should be able to do a item client. Oh, that's not what it is. Game server dot instance dot item client dot equip. Nope, I didn't build that call yet. Okay, I need to build that in over here. Internal equipped equip item. And what we're going to pass, we have to pass those three objects. So we need the hero ID, generated item ID, item slot. And just create this call, equip item, new equip item request. And this will be the generated the hero ID, generated item ID, in the item slot. Okay. Now we have a call set up. So over here we can do item client dot equip item, and we need to pass all that same data in. So like I said, for now we're just going to hard code this to a hero. So we'll just pick hero ID 2. Actually, let's do a different one. We already have test data in there for hero ID 2. So let's pick hero ID 3. The generated item will match generated item dot ID, and then the item slot will be generated item dot base item dot item slot case, and then I think we can translate that to a string. I think. Let's try that. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but I think it might. All right. So that will update the database with the right equipment, and it will pass back the list of equipped items, which the way I have this set up right now, I can't really do anything with it, but we can at least put it in an object that we can then do a debug on, just to let's just say equipped items I don't know what a toString will do on this, but let's do a toString for now. I might have to do something else. I don't know if that will show all the data or not. All right, so back over here, we need to actually create that new button and then assign it to our reference, and then assign the method it calls when it's clicked as well. So let's just duplicate the play pause button again. We'll put in here equip button. We'll make sure the text says equip. And then we're going to move this right here, I guess, for now. And then we need to change the call to the new equip click. Okay. I feel like that's everything, right? I don't think I'm missing anything. Let's save the scene. Make sure we don't lose any changes if something locks up. Let's push play and see what happens. Oh, I forgot to assign the reference. Action panel. So there's my new equip button. I need to just pull it over there and drop it in. Save that again. Push play again. All right, so the button doesn't appear at the beginning, which is right. Now let's generate an item. There we go. Now we have our equip. And if we click equip, all right, let's see if anything showed up in the database, because I don't see anything in the debug log, but I might just have it set wrong. So the equip table does have a new record. Item generated item ID 9 in the weapon slot. So let's check that. And that was a weapon, so that was the proper now it didn't capitalize that. We'll have to make sure that that might be the problem, why it didn't pull anything back. We might just need to say ignore case for now. I want to get this set up with enum so we don't have any funky issues like this with strings. All right, but we have that. And what was I going to check? Oh, I was going to check ID 9, make sure that it matches base item 4. Sword of Light. Sword of Light. So there we go. Everything's linking correctly. Except I think what happened there was when it built the equipped item object, it didn't find it because it's W-E. It's some of the letters are lowercase, and I think I was only looking for all uppercase, which is dumb of me. I knew that was that's not good. So let's fix that real quick. That should be an easy fix. Up here where I'm looking for case weapon. I need to put dot to uppercase. All right, that should fix that call. So now one of these cases are going to get hit. See how it says item slot not defined? So we can see that it's doing what I thought it did. It didn't hit either one of these cases because it wasn't an exact match, and it needs to be. So that should fix the returned object. So let's do a quick restart on the server since I just updated that. I don't think we have that anywhere else. And I mean, I also should clean up how it's getting saved, I guess, and make sure that it's all capitals. It doesn't matter because once we do the enum, all of that should persist correctly. All right. Let's start the server again. Let's do this test one more time and see if the equipped items object has something in it this time. So we're going to generate an item. This time it was armor, so we're going to click equip. Now, since it's on the same hero, they should end up having two objects show up down here, hopefully. Armor. All right, so it is showing the full JSON. Equipped items, armor. Weapon. There we go. There's the weapon as well. I see some... This looks duplicated, doesn't it? Armor. The armor object and equipped has... This is like that base level, and then this is the base info. All right, I think we're okay. And here's the modifiers. And each modifier has the base item modifier that it's tied to. So that's why this is so long. It's the modifiers, really. Cool. All right. Cool. So we're generating items. Just to summarize, we're generating items. And now we've figured out how to equip the items. So now that the items are equipped, we need to create a functionality to update the character in battle, or I mean just in general. all of these stats that are on these items need to update the hero's stats. So, just thinking in my head, where should those updates go? They're tied to, it's always just the equipped. So it's always tied to the hero, the way it's set up, right? Let's look here. So if we go into the hero, or the unit, I should say, if we go in here, we can see everything we need to do the formulas and updates that I'm talking about is in the hero unit itself. We have all the stats. Because the common unit's part of the unit, of course. So all of these stats are included. And then the equipped objects are included. But from a UI standpoint, possibly from the logic standpoint too, we're almost going to need a copy of all of these fields, aren't we? So we have the base strength stat, but I feel like we're going to need a modified strength stat. And that can either be, we can make the modified stat be like separate from this. So this could be like 50. And then maybe they modify their strength by an additional 10. So the modified strength field could have 10. And then in the UI, I would just display both of those together. Or I could even display them separately. But I like that idea, so that maybe in the UI I can show the base of 50, and then I can do like a little different color plus 10 off to the side. And then of course all of the formulas and combat calculations will be based off of the total of that together, which would be 60. I think I like that. And by doing the modified, will that also help us on the monster side of things? Because eventually I'm going to have these monster modifiers that add additional stats randomly to monsters. So I think that will kind of work like items for monsters, where we're going to have different modifiers and we'll loop through them to update those stats. And we're going to want to store these in the database. Will they be in the same table? I think so right now, and we haven't actually done the monsters yet. So for heroes, we have a singular table right now with these values, with all these base values. So do I think I just add those additional fields to this table. But monsters will be different. So monsters are going to be much more like items as far as how their database is set up. So right now we have, this was just a test table for monster, but eventually we're going to have a base monster table like base item. And that'll be a catalog of different monsters that can be used. And then it's going to randomly roll and generate monsters that'll be in a generated monster table. And there will also be a generated monster modifier table that modifies those base item. So or not base item, base monster. So you might have a base wolf object, and then it might have some increased speed and damage modifiers added to it. So as far as the stats for a monster, we still need all the same things. We're still going to need the base stats, and we're going to need the modified stats. So this will end up being called the generated monster table, the one that I have here. And it will have all of those modified stats as well. And we can modify all these ones that say base are the ones that I think we can modify. Well, we can also modify attack speed. So I might have to rename a few of these because I also want to be able to modify defense, resist, and block. I think those are the ones I'm missing though. I guess we also need one for damage. Right now I was just doing the low to high damage. But maybe we should just have one additional stat called damage where we can modify how much damage overall we do. Like it's just an increment. It could be plus 10 damage. So we can still have these two the way they are. But then we'll have a damage stat as well. I think that'll work. All right, let's get to work. Lots of little updates here. So let's just start down here, and we're going to just call it mod strength. Mod, I don't even remember all the stats I have anymore. Agility. Oops. Mod agility. Mod endurance. Mod willpower. Mod speed. Mod HP. Mod MP. Mod damage. Mod attack speed. I made that a big int. I guess I'll make that one a big int as well. Mod defense. Mod resist. Mod block. Delete that extra column I just added by accident. All right, let's double check. I think that was all of them. All right, let's apply that. Oh, I should have kept that up. It's all right. We're not really doing the monsters yet, so I'm not going to mess with that side yet. So we have all those mod fields. So let's go and tell it to update the database object. So we should be able to get that to auto update. Let's see here. Hero DB. That did not work. Let me make sure it refreshed. Can we see those extra fields? Yep, we can. Let's try that one more time. Now it shows them. Okay, now we're good. I probably didn't refresh it right. There we go. Now we have all the additional mod fields. Let's start the server. Since we added all those, we're going to have to update the proto as well. And the conversion objects. And it'll just be the base common unit stuff. So this will all transfer over correctly. Big int. Defense. Just block. All right. That's all the modded fields. We're going to have to regenerate because all of these aren't going to show up until we regenerate. So let's do that. And then we'll just have to go into the hero service and make all those updates to our conversion routines. A little bit of busy work, but it's not too bad. What did we do? Add about a dozen fields. All right. Let's close all these other tabs. Oops, I just closed them all. Okay. So both of these conversion routines are going to need updated. So the first one, we'll start with the common builder. Set mod strength. Hero db.get mod strength. Mod agility. Endurance. What the heck happened there? That's probably why the telesense didn't kick in either. Set mod intelligence. What is going on? Why am I not finding set mod intelligence? Maybe I didn't add it. Maybe I missed one. Nope, I did not. It's there. Mod intelligence. Set mod intelligence. Oh, it might not be in the hero DB. It might not be in the... Yeah, that's what I did. I missed it down here. Okay. There we go. Okay, we have willpower. Is that what the other one is? Yeah, set mod willpower. Did I miss that one too? Willpower and speed are the last two. Huh. Good thing I'm doing all this, I guess. Excuse me. Ah, I gotta regenerate that stupid class. Regenerate it since I made that change to the proto file. That's what I needed to show up. I already lost track of what was after all those now. Oh, speed. I gotta do speed. Okay. That's all the base stats, and then it was HP and MP. just have to do this one time. I know this is messy, but this is unfortunately necessary. We just have a lot of different stats in the game. All right. MP, what was after MP? Damage and then attack speed. Okay, set mod damage. That one doesn't want to work. Probably means it's going to get mad at me. Get mod attack speed. I know I added that. It's long. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's see what's left. We have defense, resist, and block is all that's left. All right, now we got to do the other side, unfortunately. Yeah, you had it. Just do it. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's all of them. All right. So now what do we have? What did we do? So now we have a mod. So what do we do to update that? We're gonna have to create another function, and it's gonna have to loop through the items and change these mods. And when should it happen? I mean, in combat, this could actually change based on buffs and skills as well. But I think for the server call, we'll just create a call. It should be in the hero service. And it's going to pretty much just read update hero modifiers or something like that. So let's go into the proto for hero for unit, because units is where heroes at. And so up here, we're going to have a new call. We'll just call it update hero stats. Let's say stats. That sounds. And what do we need to pass in? Really, we just need to pass in the hero ID that's getting modified. So after we equip an item, we know which hero we equip the item on. So we should be able to go in here and pass this next as the next call. And then we still just want to return a unit. It'll be a returned updated object with those modified stats. So we don't have to define anything else in here. We already have the hero request, which is just the hero ID getting passed in. Oh, I lied. It's the hero unit. We want to do a get hero by ID request. Get hero by ID request. Okay, because we only want to pass the ID. We don't want to pass anything else in. And then the server will do all the logic as far as pulling back what's equipped and then looping through all those equipped items and updating the stats. And later on down the road, when we have buffs and stuff, it'll also, the same procedure will also loop through the buffs too. But for now, all we have is items. So that's all this function's currently going to do. So let's generate that. So our end goal here is we're going to pull the hero data in, first of all. And we're going to also pull the equipped. Well, the equipped's already on the hero object. So we'll have the equipped when we pull the hero object back. Then we'll loop through, which we don't have a way to loop through the equipped stuff yet, but that's something I have on the to-do list. So right now we'll just go through the 2 slots we currently have and loop through those item modifiers on those and the items themselves. So if they have a weapon equipped, I need to update the mod. How do I do that? I guess the base damage on a weapon should translate to the low and high damage on the hero. The way I have it written right now, that should work. Okay, that's updated. So let's jump back in the hero service. Okay. But we'll just throw this new call down here. And it's a public void. Oh, I already forgot what I called it. Update hero stats. We're pulling in a get hero by ID request. We're returning a unit. Okay, let's just make a quick log that says updating hero stats. We can say for hero ID. All right. So if we have a hero ID, can I use... Yeah, I do have one here. Get hero by ID. So I already have this call. Does that pull in the equipped object as well? Because I need it to. Yep, it does. Okay. Perfect. So we'll have a unit hero equals get hero by ID request dot get ID. So now we have the hero with the equipped items on them. And we want to loop through. So let's look at that other call we made up here. Or actually, I'm thinking of I need to think, when should I trigger this update function, you know? Maybe it should only trigger when something changes, which would make the most sense. And do we trigger this with an RPC call? Or does it just run off of... This should just be a backend server call. And it should know when to call it. I'm taking that out. And I'm taking this out. And what else? Because I did that, this will now become a unit. We're going to return a unit. I'm just going to capitalize that. And we need to regenerate so it gets rid of that call. Okay, so the reason I changed that is because this is kind of like server related logic. And this should trigger off of other calls, but it shouldn't trigger on its own from the UI, if that makes sense. So when something's equipped, that's the RPC call, is the equip item call. Then the equip item call should piggyback and use this call to make the updates. So, but I do want to make this call generic, meaning I don't want to pass in like what's modifying the stats. I just want it to loop through anything that can modify the stats. So the items for now, but eventually it'll be the buffs and whatever else we end up modifying stats with. That should all happen in here. And then we just make this call. So since all we have right now is the equipped items, we just need to go through each item. So the first one is the weapon slot. So we'll say if hero dot get get hero get equipped items has weapon. Okay. And I know this is messy. This is going to get refactored once I figure out how to restructure this. I don't want to have to do this for every single item slot because eventually I think I'm going to have about a dozen. Has armor. So this will loop through those two. And then we'll create another function down here that is called in both of these ifs. All right. This function can be called private update item stats. And we need to pass in the generated item. And the hero ID. We're going to need that. And we're going to need the list. Actually, the list of modifiers is on the generated item. Let me rename this. I don't like that naming. Update hero stats for item. So since this is tied to an item, we'll do this here. And what will this do? So if generated item dot get base item if it's a weapon, we need to do certain things. This is where I said I need to update the. Okay, let me think here. What object do I need here to make these updates? I need the hero DB, right? Hero DB, hero. I need to pull that back. The hero repository dot find by ID, hero ID. So first of all, I mean, we need that find by hero ID. What the heck? What is the right call here? Let's look. I don't have any special ones. Is it just named ID in the database? No, it says hero ID. Hero ID. Find by hero ID. I'm very confused why it's not. I know I've done this before. All right, so I have the hero now. And then down here, we want to update things. So we want to say hero db dot set low damage to generated item dot get base item dot get weapon dot get low damage. I know there's a lot going on there. It's just item under item under item. Okay, the high damage, and then we also want to set the attack speed this way. Base item. All right. Why didn't that work? Provided an int. I don't remember that being an int. It's not, it's a long. Generated item, base item, weapon, attack speed. Maybe it's the item, not that one. It's this one. All right, so those are the stats we have to set specific before we do the mods. Don't know if I'm going to do that with armor. Or does that all go into the mod stat? So if armor gives you 10 defense, I guess my decision here needs to be if when I start adding classes, which I mean I have it labeled here, but I don't actually have them built out, will there be classes that can modify their base stats? So all of these will change when you level up based on what class you are. Certain ones will go up more than others, as well as the HP and the MP, but do I also want to adjust defense, resist, and block outside of items? And for that matter, low damage, high damage, and attack speed, because I just modified those directly for the weapon, and maybe I shouldn't have. If you have absolutely nothing equipped, should you do different? Or maybe these base values, if you don't have anything equipped, get calculated based on your stats. So like agility would affect defense, and willpower would affect resist. And block, I don't even know if block would go up at all from any of these stats. Maybe from strength or something. And damage can go up from strength. And then attack speed can be based off of speed. So maybe I'm already rethinking what I'm doing here. Maybe I should be leaving low damage, high damage, and attack speed alone and modify them. I don't know, though. The weapon is kind of the unique exception, I think, to this rule. Because if you're equipping a slow weapon, the attack speed needs to change. I don't want to have, like, an attack speed of 2,500 with no weapon. I don't know. And then if you equip the weapon, how do you calculate attack speed at that point? Maybe you just always pick the slowest attack speed based on the two. Or maybe you always pick the weapon attack speed, I should say. I think I'm gonna mod for weapons. I am gonna modify these base stats. And for armor, I'm gonna update these base stats. And then the mods themselves is what will come in and show the differences. I think that's the way I want to do this. And then as far as the stats modifying those, that's what will happen as well. So like if you have a really high strength, your damage, your mod damage will go up because of your strength. Yeah, I like that. Which means we need another section here for the armor. And then we need to set the 3 values for armor. So defense, resist, and block. All right, so that's all of the base item modifications. Now we need to loop through all the mods and add them. So a loop, and this will be a generated item modifier. Mod. And this will be in the generated item.get modifiers list. All right. So there's our loop. And all we need to do here this is going to be messy because I almost need to do a switch statement here, don't I? So in my table, I have not that table, the modifier table. I have what it's modifying. But to tie that to the correct field in the database, we're going to have to create a switch statement, I think. It's going to be a big switch statement. But I can't think of a cleaner way to do that because each one has its own specific field. I can move it to its own section or its own method. I can pass in this value and it will pass out the field name or the field object or whatever, maybe. I don't know. I don't know for sure the best way for that one. Maybe I'll put it to do here as well. I know it's going to be messy. Look for a better way to determine which field is updated. So for now, though, what we're going to do is we're going to say switch. And we're going to look at the item mod.get attribute. And that will determine what's getting updated. And then we'll just have case statements. So I have damage, HP, and armor, I see. I mean, this might be messy, but it's one of those where it's going to be like a one-time thing. Maybe it won't be as bad as I think. We have mana and attack speed. We only have 5 so far. I mean, eventually we'll have pretty much any stat. But this is good to test it out. And then I can research if there's a better way to do this. Not if. I know there's a way. I'll research a better way to do this. There's got to be a better way. All right. I just jumped to the wrong code. Okay. So how will this work? So we need to if it's, each one will have a specific call here. So it'll be HeroDB.set mod damage, because we're in the damage section. And this will be updated by the generated value. Okay, so that's all we have to do to, oh wait, that's not going to work. We need to add it to whatever's in there. And we need to zero all these out before we run this method. How do we zero all these out? So we pulled the repository back. And since we're we want to just run this every time we want to update. We want to start like with the fresh slate, recalculate everything, and then return it back. So because we want to do it that way, I don't think it's a bad idea to do it this way. I mean, the alternative is when we remove something, so let's say we unequip an item, we would have a separate call for that. So this would be like equip item or whatever, equip update stats. And one would be like unequip update hero stats. And it would negate the amount that was in the modifiers. So that's an option. Does that make it any easier if we do it that way? Let me think about that. It'd be nice if we didn't need to know what these were, but I think we have to, at least for these base stats. And I mean, each item might be specific this way. That's what makes this messy. I think this is more reusable if we use it the way we have it. I really do. I don't think it'll take a whole lot more processing time either. It's just going to look messy because we have to make a section here that says zero out modifiers to start. And we just need to take what's in there before we start that loop. And we can do it this way. We can say equals zero out mods, and we'll pass it in. And we'll get it right back out. And then this little helper function down here, it will return the hero DB. Zero out mods. We're passing in a hero DB. And mainly what we want to do here is just set all the mod values to 0. Yeah, that'll wait. Keep going. Oh, that one didn't work. Defense. All right, do we have 13? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, then return it back. It's probably going to tell me I don't have to do that because it's a reference. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now all of those are zeros. So now as I loop through, it will be adding them, but I need to do right here, I need to say hero db dot get mod damage plus. So if I have a modifier on two different items that mod the damage, I don't want to lose that and only get the last item that I put in there. So this will allow it to increment and add all of those mods together. And we just need to do that for each section here. So for this one, it's set HP or mod HP and do the same thing. Get mod HP plus item mod dot get generated modifier value. And for some reason I made armor here instead of defense. But that's what this is modding, is the defense, so I probably should clean that up eventually. Okay, there's that one. Alright, set mod mana. Okay, and then attack speed. Okay. All right, that worked with all my test data anyways. Eventually this will have to grow because there's 13 fields. There needs to be 13 switch statements here. But that's good for now. Okay, so this adds all of those values to the hero DB. And since items are the only things we have right now, well, now wait a minute. This is only doing one item though. If we zero these out, this isn't going to work. Because in between items, it's going to zero them out. That's not what I meant to do. So this needs to move. The hero DB, first of all, needs to move out of here. And it needs to be up here. And do I need this? I don't think I need this initial call. I'm going to do that at the bottom when we return the unit, but up here I don't need to do it. So up here I just need the database object. Right? Well, right here already though, it's asking for the weapons. Crap. This is where I need the 0. Up here. And I need to pass this object instead. Okay, so that fixes that method, but we still have this issue where we don't know what equipped items we have if we don't pull that other object back. And the equipped table only has a reference to the item, or does it? Let's double check. Oh no, it has the slot. So we can pull the equipped back for this. Yeah, that should work. Well, we're still going to need this though. I think we're going to have to do that other call still. I was trying to save a few CPU cycles, but I think I'm overthinking this a little bit. For now, let's just do it this way. If we have performance issues, we can clean them up, but... Alright, so in here, if they have a weapon, we want to do what? We want to say update hero stats for item. Hero.get hero dot get equipped dot get weapon. And then I also need to pass in the hero DB. Okay. And then the same thing down here. And then once I've looped through both of those, I mean, eventually it'll be more than two, but then I run the update on the database. So the hero DB should have all the updated mod stats now. So let's do that. Let's do a save hero DB. It's updating all the mod stats. Now we have to do this again. We have to say hero equals get hero by ID. We have to do that to get the updated values into our RPC object before we return it here at the bottom. We can clean this up a little bit here. We don't need this or this. We can just throw this down here. Okay. Let me just kind of walk through this logic. So we come in, we pull the hero DB, so we have the hero database object. Then we also pull the RPC object back. And the reason we do that is because we need a link to all the items and all the data in those items. Then we zero out all the mods. So at this point, the hero DB shows 0 for all the mod fields. And then we just loop through all the item slots, which right now we just have 2. So if it has a weapon, it's going to update the stats for that weapon. And then if we go down here, if it's the case of a weapon, it's going to set the low, high, and the attack speed. And then it loops through all the item modifiers on that item and adds those as well to the mod fields. So these are modifying the base fields. These are modifying the mod fields. And what we haven't done yet, although we will soon, is use the stats on the heroes to mod certain things. So for example, we'll have to mod all the stats first, and then we'll have to do an additional loop that will mod stuff again, I guess is how to do it. It won't be as long of a list because it'll just be the base stats. It'll just be strength, agility, intelligence, endurance, willpower, and speed. But those 6 can modify some of these other values. So like endurance will modify hit points, and willpower will modify resist. Agility will modify defense. Strength will modify damage, stuff like that. I'm not going to do that yet, but that will be coming soon. We're going to check that this part works first. Goes through that one. That also goes through the armor item. Does the same thing. It doesn't zero them out again. That would have been bad, so I'm glad we fixed that bug. And then it saves the object back to the database. And then when it returns, it does the same pull, which will pull back those changes from the database. And now we just have to determine when this gets called. It should only get called. It should only have to get called every once in a while. So even if it's a little bit slow of a call, because I mean, we are doing a lot here. We're running several queries. We're pulling our item twice, or our hero twice, I mean. I don't think it'll be a huge performance issue because it's only going to happen on certain events. And now we just need to determine where do we put this. I think we might just put this maybe at the beginning of combat for now. And then we'll probably also link it to... Well, it only needs to be linked to stuff that changes it. For now, we'll put it at the beginning of combat. But eventually, when we get all these systems built out correctly, this should only be placed on, like if an item gets equipped, or if a buff gets added or removed, or if the level up happens, that would cause this, of course, to happen. Yeah, I think that's good. So for now, though, for testing purposes, we're going to put it on the combat object. So let's see. I need to clean some of these imports up that aren't getting used. I think that's where we're going to end this today too, because I gotta gonna do some stuff with the family this evening. But so when we do the next session, what we'll work on is making sure we're seeing those updated values. And then the not last step, but one of the next steps is update the logic in combat for attack or whatever else to make sure it's using these modified values and not just the base values like it is right now. So we're getting there. There's a lot of steps to items and just in general adding modifications to these attributes. As you can see, we just almost doubled our fields to make sure we can store all this data. So It's kind of a busy work thing, but it's important and it's going to really add a lot of additional complexity and character building to the game to have all of this built out like this. So yeah, I think this is looking good. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and head out for now, but I appreciate everybody watching. I'll probably be on either tomorrow or Sunday for a little bit. I want to keep working on this. I'm really wanting to get this going and get my first playtest ready to go by about Thanksgiving. So, and hopefully I can kind of hand out some beta, not beta, more like alpha, pre-alpha keys or whatever we want to call it. I'll probably get a Discord set up as well so I can get some additional testers. And I got a few family members that'll probably help me do it as well. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.